This is a copy of the Constitution of the United States. Amendments to the Constitution of the United States. This is the Second Amendment. This is what it says. Not what people on TV says it is or says what it means. This is the Second Amendment of the Constitution. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Let's take a quick look at this. This is very easy to understand. You don't need a lawyer to tell you what this means. A well-regulated militia. Okay, there's two things there. Well-regulated and militia. What is a militia? A militia is not the National Guard. Militia is not a standing army. Militia is the people of the United States, private citizens. The term well-regulated has several meanings. It means to be well-armed, well-equipped, well-trained, an effective fighting force. So right there it tells you what that means. To be well-regulated means to be well-trained, well-armed, well-equipped. Being necessary to the security of a free state. Being necessary to the security of a free state. What does that mean? It means to ensure man's freedom. Freedom from tyranny. It is absolutely paramount that private citizens have and keep firearms. The right of the people to keep and bear arms. Right there in the amendment, it is extremely clear. The right of the people. It doesn't say the privilege of the people. It says the right. It's saying this is a right. And who is this right of? It's not for the government. It's for you and me. This is for the people, for the citizens of the United States. The right of the people to keep and bear. To keep, to own, to possess, to have, bear arms, to carry arms, weapons, firearms. And then what does it say about this? It says, shall not be infringed. So what is this? The Constitution. This is a list of things the government cannot do to you. What is the government's job? It is to protect your rights. They are to make sure no one infringes upon these rights. And now it seems like the world is upside down and the government decides they are the ones who need to infringe upon your rights. When they are the ones charged with protecting your rights, now they are the very one trying to infringe upon these rights. Our founding fathers were pretty wise. They gave us a form of government which a lot of people don't even understand or know what it is, because they hear the word democracy thrown around repeatedly. And that's complete propaganda. It's intentional to confuse the situation. We are not a democracy. A democracy is mob rule. We are a republic, if we can keep it. And in that republic, there's checks and balances. Even in the federal government, there is checks and balances between the federal government and the states to keep the federal government small. And even amongst the federal government, our founding fathers set up 3 co-equal branches of government. Co-equal, each having the same power. That being the Congress, the judicial system, and the executive branch, the president. All equal members of government. Not one person is supposed to be more powerful than the other. The other checks and balance that was put into the Constitution was the Second Amendment. It gives us equal power to the government. It prevents a vacuum of power. It keeps things in balance. The same way the Congress keeps the president in balance, the same way that the Supreme Court keeps the Congress in power, or in balance. Anytime you remove something like that and create a vacuum, it will be filled by something or someone. We are supposed to have equal power of the government. This is a protection. This is a check and balance. And right now, people in the government would like to see this removed. And they'd like to see this put over here. Does that look very balanced? That's not what our founding fathers intended. The Second Amendment spells it out clear that it is a right. It is a right of the people. And it is not to be infringed. And right now, the government wants to infringe upon that right, and they want to put all the power on their side. What good will come of this? You have no means of checks and balance on this side. You have no power, and you've concentrated power all to the government. Not only are we concentrating all power to the government, we are constantly consolidating all power into one branch of the government, into the executive branch. The executive branch is absorbing more and more power and taking itself out of balance with the other co-equal branches of power. That is why it is important that we do not stop on this battle. This battle has been going on since the beginning of time. This came down to a decision our founding fathers had to make a long time ago, when they decided to try something different. And they said, we believe man can rule himself. And we fought for our freedoms and came up with a document that would preserve that and pass that down. There are those who don't believe that man can rule himself, and they believe man should be ruled by an elite few. And people forget this, that we fought Britain, we won our independence, but not everybody in the early Americas believed that man should rule himself. So we find it hard to believe that why is the government doing this? Well, we have to remember, a lot of us have this belief that's been passed down from our founding fathers that man can rule himself and should be free. There are just as many people left over who have that mindset that no, people can't rule themselves. They need to be governed. They need to be dictated to. They need an elite group to tell them how they should live their lives. This is what it's coming down to. Can man rule himself? Or should we give up our freedom and be ruled by bureaucrats who think they know better than us? It's a decision that everyone's going to have to make rather soon. I believe man can rule himself. I believe we have this right for a reason, to keep those people at bay so they won't be empowered and emboldened to take more power and enslave us. The Second Amendment is extremely, extremely important. There are those that are right now saying that they need to take our firearms, that we should be disarmed. There are those that say we need to do this for safety. And I just don't see their logic behind the safety. They say we need to reduce our magazine capacity. Right now they find that this, a 30-round magazine, to be something they wanted to go after right now. But I got to ask you this, they're saying for safety. We got to take this for safety. We got to limit you to 10 rounds. Well, first off, anybody who calls this a high-capacity magazine is dishonest. Therefore, does not have my trust. This is a normal capacity magazine. Rifles, have a normal capacity of 20 to 30 rounds. That's a normal capacity magazine. Above 30 rounds, I would agree, is high capacity. So not only are they wanting to ban high capacity, they want to ban normal capacity. They want to leave us with a reduced capacity. And they say it's for safety. The same thing with the handgun. Anything 20 rounds and under on a handgun is normal capacity. So how is limiting me to 10 rounds increasing safety? But I ask you, safety of whom? I don't understand who this will make more safe. That if this magazine held 10 rounds instead of 15, whom it would make safer? if a madman walked into a gun-free zone with multiple 10-round magazines going against unarmed people, would the carnage be less because he had multiple 10-round magazines against unarmed people, defenseless, helpless people, and he did multiple mag changes with 10-round magazines instead of 15-round magazines against innocent, unarmed people? How would that make them safer? I contend it wouldn't. So then, safety of whom? The only people that I would think that feel safer is the government. If they can artificially reduce my capacity to 10 rounds, why they retain 30-round capacity, then it makes it safer for the government. This is not about safety for the public. It's not about safety for the children. It's about safety for the bureaucrats. We need and should have the balance of power. We should have the same access to the same tools as our government. Otherwise, there's no balance of power. The Constitution is not about hunting. It's not about sporting. It's not about target shooting. Anybody who says those words are an attempt to lie and deceive you. I read it right here clearly in the Constitution. The Second Amendment, I'll read it again. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. There is no right in the Constitution regarding hunting, regarding sportsmen, target shooting. Those are mere byproducts of us owning firearms. It has nothing to do, there is no hunting or sporting purpose. That's not why we have these. It is a check and balance on the government. And I say to you, if you give up this right, and I think that's the only way they have it, is if they can scare you to give it up. There's too many of us to take this right from us. You will have to give this right up. And that will be a choice you have to make. But just remember, if you give up this right that's given you as in the Constitution, and you give all the power to the state, what does this Constitution look like to the government? How do they regard this piece of paper? What does this piece of paper look like to the government once they have all your guns? I contend this is what the piece of paper looks like once you've allowed yourself to be disarmed. Thanks for watching.